Another Thursday morning, it's 9 a.m., and that is when we start our town each and every week here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. My name is Darren Swenson. Our town, as always, brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. Coming up a little later on in the program, we'll talk to Stephanie Fromm with Watershed County Development and Tourism. She will provide an update on the Sunflower Child Care Discovery Center project. A lot of good things going on as that project comes closer to reality. We'll also get an update from the State House, have a conversation with State Representative Mike Bergan. February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. We'll talk about that important issue with Brittany McIntyre from Helping Services for Youth and Family. But a special event is coming to Decorah High School this weekend. It's the Wisconsin Singers from UW-Madison featuring a Decorah High School graduate. And that conversation about that program will start right now with Joseph Courtney. We'll have that conversation as we begin our Town program brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Coming up this Sunday, the UW Singers, the Wisconsin Singers, the premier Broadway caliber touring production for the University of Wisconsin at Madison, will be performing in Decorah, and a Decorah High School graduate going to be a part of the performance this week as Joseph Courtney joins us. And Joseph, you're a sophomore at UW-Madison. Tell us about your involvement in the Wisconsin Singers, first of all, and I guess welcome to the program.
Awesome. Well, happy to be here. Thank you very much, Darren. I appreciate you inviting me on. Being in the Wisconsin Singers just has been an absolute treat for me. I got involved. We started our year around mid-August with like a 3-week-long production camp where we kind of learned our 90-minute show. It was 12 hours a day, day in, day out, working all the time. But it was grueling, but it was really, really worth it. And that's where I found out that I really have a passion for performing. I mean, obviously, during my time at Decorah High School, I did a lot with the choir and Mr. Roush, and I've had an absolute blast there. And it really led me to make the decision to join this group or audition for this group and join it. And I've been with this group for the last about half a year now. We've been practicing since mid-August, and we've done probably about 10 to 12 shows already. So we're just getting into the swing of things for touring wise, and it's just been an absolute treat.
You mentioned your experience involved in vocal music at Decorah High School. Was there a moment that it clicked that, hey, you know what, I can do this at the collegiate level and I can do this at a higher level?
Yeah, there's actually multiple of those moments that I had. Really, my breakthrough moment that I realized that I enjoyed fine arts in general was my junior year of high school. After choir one day, I had a meeting with Mr. Roush. He called me into his office, and he really wanted me to audition for the Madrigal Singers, which, as you know, probably just happened this past weekend. And I didn't really do too much with choir besides, like, I was in it as a class and I went to the concerts, and that's pretty much it. But I auditioned, ended up getting in, and I ended up falling in love with just the whole idea of pursuing singing as more than just a thing to do during school hours. So really, that moment is when I found out that I really liked fine arts. But the moment that I found out that I could do it beyond high school was probably the summer going into my freshman year of college. I took some vocal lessons with Dr. Andrew Whitfield at Luther College, as per recommended by Mr. Roush. And I really, really grew a lot as a singer in the about 2 months that we took lessons together. We eventually had to cut them off because he had to start classes stuff for the next academic year. But it was at that moment that I realized that choir wasn't just a high school passion of mine, and that I could really take off and let it grow into something more in my life than just something I did in high school.
To a layperson like myself that can't carry a tune in a bucket, you mentioned growing as a singer. What does that all encompass?
Well, the journey for singing for everyone is a different path. Obviously, everyone can join it. The nice thing about singing is that it's something you can pick up anytime in your life. It's not like football, where that's something that's definitely a young man and a young woman's sport for sure. Singing is something that you can do anytime, anywhere. I know that I do it all the time. Actually, I just came from a class about 15 minutes away, and spent the whole time listening to music and singing along to it on the way here. So it's just something that you can enjoy doing at any moment of any day, and it lightens your mood. But growing as a singer really can take a lot of forms, as you can probably tell. Obviously, I took a very traditional path. I did it in Mr. School and in middle school under Mr. Dean Beckman, and then did it in high school under Jason Roush, and now I'm doing it at the collegiate level within the singers. But that's really not the only path you can take. I know many people I talked to after a Decorah chorale concert, actually, who didn't really do singing in high school or college or anything like that. They just thought joining a community choir would be a fun experience, and they fell in love with it just as much as I fell in love with singing through high school. So there's really no clear-cut, cookie-cutter path to develop as a singer. Just I'd say probably the best thing to do to develop yourself as a singer is just get yourself involved in a group and get yourself around others who are just as equally passionate about growing themselves as singers as you are.
You mentioned Mr. Beckman and Mr. Roush, the vocal music instructors in the district. How much did their education kind of help establish that base for you to start at and then grow from?
From personal experience, it is extremely foundational. I learned a lot singing technique-wise from them. Obviously, that's their role as teachers of choirs, but even just growing my passion for singing was something that I found to be I can really attribute to them. I know that Mr. Beckman encouraged me to audition for some of the Opus choirs in my middle school years, and I did that my 7th and 8th grade year, I believe. Didn't end up getting into them, but that didn't discourage me because he just carried such a positive attitude in the classroom, and just brought a lot of passion and enjoyment in the classroom towards singing, and that's something I found really intriguing. Obviously, I found that through sports and stuff too, but there's just something about choir that really captivated me. Just the passion of learning how to sing better and developing your techniques and whatnot is something middle school, Mr. Beckman really laid the foundation in. And then in high school, it really just blossomed because obviously being in high school choirs, you have a lot more opportunities to do more, such as like all-state choir. I know that I did that my senior year. Magical, as I said, did that my junior and senior year. And there's the solo ensemble competitions. I really found myself being engaged in those a lot more in my latter half of my high school career. And then there's like the state large group choir competitions, which are always really enjoyable. So the nice thing about high school for me was it gave me the opportunities to grow and explore my passion for singing. And Mr. Roush was really, really, really supportive of it all, obviously, along the way. I admitted I went into my freshman year of high school not really knowing if singing was going to be something I continued in high school, but he was a very, very supportive character. I was a very, very shy and insecure freshman. I'll be the first to admit it, but the choir room was always a very welcoming environment, which definitely was integral in the development of my passion for choir. So Mr. Beckman and Mr. Roush, I'd say definitely, if anything beyond education, they played a huge role in developing my confidence and my poise as a singer.
And this Sunday, your group, the Wisconsin Singers, coming to Decorah to perform. How did this show come to be? How excited are you to come back home and put on a show for the home folks?
Oh, just to answer the second question, I mean, it's hard even to describe, to put into words, just how excited I am to show people what I've done with my talents beyond high school, because this has been something that's become just something I can't even live without in college. I really couldn't see myself doing anything else in college, and I couldn't see college, the UW-Madison experience without singers, which obviously it helps that I'm on the inside, but even from the outside, just what I've heard from people who've seen the performances, a thing that they take away is they can really see our passion on stage, and I'm really glad because everyone in the group is just extremely passionate about performing in general. Being a part of the group has just let me grow beyond more than just as a performer, just as a human being too. It's really put me through all the emotions that you could ever experience as a human. We had a lot of triumph when we finished our production camp. We had a lot of grueling grit and grief in the process of going through production camp, and just it really wore us down to our bare bones, just having to rehearse the same numbers hours and hours and hours a day. And it really helped us grow a lot as a group together, because putting ourselves through that experience. And just as a side note, before we even started production camp, I hardly knew anyone in the group at all besides their names and their faces, because we all got pictures And I mean, Wisconsin singers in general, I didn't really know existed before I even joined it, but I can go into that further in depth a bit later. But just having an experience, it's almost hard to describe the production camp process of learning a show in 3 weeks where you spend day in and day out together with strangers, and then you come out the other side, lifelong friends. It's just such a life-changing process. And then after those 3 weeks, we had a full semester. Last semester, we did Sunday rehearsals where we'd see each other once a week. And having the experience of production camp and growing so close together, we really bonded more beyond performers and more as just friends. So the Sundays served as more than just rehearsal schedules. They were served as like checking in with each other and making sure everyone's doing all right. And if you have any bad news to share, that was the place to do it because you knew you were in an environment where you're comfortable and everyone was going to be supportive. And then we went away for Christmas break and came back, had a couple days of rehearsal, and we unfortunately didn't have our first two shows of the spring semester because of COVID complications. And that was very, very hard on all of us because obviously the first two shows of the semester are really big because we've trained, put in hundreds of hours individually to let it culminate to this semester where we spend every weekend performing and putting on our shows for audiences who appreciate that what we do. So not starting off on the wrong foot was really rough for a lot of us, but being so close, we were able to support each other and get through such tough times. And now we've had 3 weekends of absolutely fantastic shows and many, many more weekends to come. Obviously, our big stop this weekend is this Sunday here in Decorah, which will kind of coming full circle. Like I said, it's more than just me showing a show that I do to people I love. It's really bridging a gap in my life from my high school years and from my years in Decorah, which I treasure so much, and all the people I treasured and grew so close to my college years. And really, this weekend means a lot more than just a performance to me personally and to everyone else that's coming along with me. It's really bringing two communities together that I've devoted myself to and that I've grown to cherish and love so deeply, and bringing them into one space, literally one space, and allowing them to connect to each other and through me and just show. And it personally, what I want to get out of it is I want to show both of the communities that I've developed so greatly that I still love and cherish them so much, and that everything they've done for me is something that I've taken to heart and will carry with me for the rest of my life. So it's really going to be a great feeling this weekend when we get to come.
The show is entitled Come Alive. Tell us about what folks will see when they come to the high school auditorium on Sunday.
Well, the show is very interesting how it's laid out. The general theme is Come Alive, and then we have 5 separate branching themes that play out in like different medleys. So the just to give like a general outline of the show, we start off with like a 3 to 5 minute opening act where it's like really in your face and it's just kind of a culmination to show you like what's to come and like what the show is going to look like. And then we get into the next medley, which is called Pure Imagination. And the medleys usually consist of like 10 to 12 songs, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, or around 15 minutes each. And they all center around certain ideas and feelings. So obviously this first medley, Pure Imagination, starts off with the song Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So the whole theme of that is just being joyful, being childish, being jovial, and just having fun and feeling the euphoria that you'd feel as a child when you go out and play. And then we go into the next one, which is Live at Madison Square Garden, which I know everyone in the audience usually loves that one. It's filled with a bunch of super fun hits that everyone from all age groups know. And the whole feeling about that one is just like having the great feeling of performing and just like listening to awesome music and just the feeling that comes with jamming out to your favorite songs and just having a good time. Kind of a very much under the same umbrella as the first medley, but a different deviation of it. And then the third act is about Bob Fosse, the very famous Broadway composer and producer. All the songs in that medley are from shows that he put together. So that one definitely is very much all over the board in its feelings, but it very much conveys a sense of theatricals and a bit more fine-tuned emotion and stuff compared to what traditional pop and rock songs may do. So that's definitely the nice thing about the show. A little side note is that it very much it's not just one concept, one idea. It very much plays into every facet of what fine arts represents in every way, shape, and form, which is something I really found very awesome about the group, and something that I haven't experienced anywhere else, is that it's a very diverse in its qualities and its characteristic that it draws upon. And then we wrap it up with a final medley, which is called the Come Alive Medley. And the whole concept of the Come Alive Medley is just to appreciate that we, A, are alive, and B, that we all coexist with one another. And it's just kind of designed to appreciate all the people around you, you know, just like all the songs are meant to invoke the message of like, we are all in this together. We all live on the same planet. We're all rotating around the same sun, and we all are on this earth to have a good time and make each other feel good. And that's just kind of one of like the message that I take away from it, and that many people will take away from it. Some people might take away different messages, and that's fantastic. You know, that's what art's all about. It's your interpretation of it. And then the very, very end of it is what we call the closer. It's a bit more of a ballady kind of thing, where we all kind of get on stage and just wrap everything up and just have like a big old shebang at the end of the show, just to put some closure to everything that you just saw in the last 90 minutes, because it is a lot to take in. So it's really a journey. The whole show is best described as an absolute journey, and one that I am very, very, very excited to take everyone on, because I know that everyone will really enjoy coming along with us on this journey.
And you talked about the entire show and the segments of it, and you say it's a 90-minute show. Will it seem like it's that long with that much jammed into that little bit of time?
There will be a lot. There's I can say that for sure. There will most definitely be a lot, but the one thing I've heard from people when they've come out of shows and we've seen them out in the lobby afterwards is that they want more. You know, it's when you're really into the swing of things and like you're really invested in the show, it goes by just like that, just like at the snap of a finger, and you're just like, how did we get to the end already? Because it just leaves you hanging on your seat the whole time, and it has your full attention, and just everything about it is just so here, there, everywhere, just boom, 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 right after the next, that you're just like, oh my gosh, like that didn't feel like 90 minutes at all. It felt like 5, and you just like, you wish you could have more. And I do too. I mean, I'm sure my body doesn't by the end of it, but I sure wish I could. So it definitely goes by, but at the end, the nice thing about the end is that it's much slower than what the rest of the numbers are supposed to be like. So it's kind of supposed to let you to take time to just kind of settle out and really soak everything in and just appreciate all that you just saw on stage.
And back to your own personal musical journey, and I'm not asking you to path out your life when you're a sophomore in college, because heck, I'm in my mid 40s and I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. But do you see music as something you're potentially going to do professionally?
Professionally is definitely something I consider. Absolutely. The one thing you may notice when you look through the program before the show is that it has all the pictures of all of the people in the troupe, and it has their majors listed under it. And we've actually counted through them, and there's only 3 people in the group who are majoring in some sort of fine art or music.
Wow.
So it's actually, and I know that's something that usually surprises people, because you would think with all that we do on stage, those people devote their whole lives to it. But in all reality, singers, for many people, including myself, is more of a passion project, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone in the group is just so invested and loves performance so much that they chose to take time out of their regular lives to join a group like this and to devote their free time to doing something like this, which honestly is a treat in itself, in a sense. I mean, I give all the respect I could possibly have to fine arts majors, because that's it's something that's very difficult, and it's a challenging way of doing life for sure, financially and many other reasons. But there's a special charm to the sense that most of us aren't fine arts majors that makes the show that much better, because obviously this is something that we don't devote day in and day out to, but the time that we do devote to it, since it is such a limited part of our day, we're always 100% attention, full energy, full focus, because this is like the moments of our day where we get to express ourselves in ways that we don't get to in day-to-day life. So there's definitely a charm that comes with that. As for me, as you probably can tell from the program, or if you've heard, I'm a finance and environmental studies major. So that's about the furthest thing you could get from performance. So I don't know. I don't know if I could give you a solid answer, yes or no, if I'm going to pursue it professionally, but I know without a doubt 100% after college, I will continue to do performance in some regard. And I didn't do anything my last year, actually, surprisingly enough, performance wise. I did audition for a couple a cappella groups, didn't end up getting in, but after that, I really just kind of let my freshman year be whatever it wanted to be, which obviously was very difficult with it being the COVID year, as people call it. There was hardly anything open here on campus. So my experience definitely was greatly hindered by that and definitely influenced my choice to not do fine arts. But I definitely found a void in my life, especially going into like the middle of spring semester, my freshman year. I recognized that I lacked satisfaction in a way that I had never experienced before. And I knew there was something in my life that I was missing. And coming back home, actually, my winter break, I was home for like a month and a half because of how the COVID schedule worked out and whatnot. I got the chance to go to the winter concert that the concert choir puts on. And it was that moment that I was like, I realized what it was, and it was performance. I spent pretty much my entire senior year doing choir, doing fine arts in some capacity. So going from doing that to doing nothing it was too shaking and just like earth shattering for my body to handle. So I knew I needed performance back in my life in some regard. And I found that through the singers. And not only did the singers help me realize or help me fulfill that void in my life, but it made me realize that performance is really an integral part of everyone's life in some regard. Everyone, I feel personally, should be involved in a fine art in some way, shape, or form, because it is really a part of life that you can't explore in any other facet. It's just being able to delve into your creative side, whether that's through vocal performance or through orchestra, band, contemporary art, whatever it is that you want to do, is something that I feel is integral in human life in general. So being a part of this group and having those realizations, and I've only been in it for half of the calendar year, is something that I can't even begin to describe how much I appreciate. So I definitely will be doing fine arts in some capacity after I'm done with college, whether it's professional or not. Couldn't tell you, but it will be done.
And the beauty of it is you don't have to figure it out right now. Joseph, I'll let you give the invitation to the folks to come out to the high school auditorium this Sunday. Here's your chance to give a 30-second radio commercial.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have a treat coming your way this Sunday to Decorah High School at 2:00 in the afternoon, and that is the Wisconsin Singers of UW-Madison. Don't miss your opportunity to see an absolutely fantastic show filled with tons of great songs that you'll recognize and love to jam along to. Feel free to hoot and holler as much as you want. We absolutely love it. But if anything, all we want you to do is be there in your seat and watching this fantastic show. And we look forward to seeing you.
And that was actually 31 seconds, so your timing was impeccable. I'm very impressed. You got a future in this business. Who knows? Joseph, we appreciate you taking some time talking about your performance career and the event coming up this Sunday at Decorah High School. Always a cool thing when young people find their passion, and you've definitely found yours. And we thank you for taking the time and enjoy the show back home this weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Darren. You enjoy your week, and you take care. I hope to see you there.
All right. Coming up this Sunday, it is Come Alive, the Wisconsin Singers. The show is being sponsored by the Decorah Music Boosters. The suggested donation, $10 for adults and $5 for students. You can pick up tickets by contacting Jason Roush at the high school. In here on Our Town this morning is Brittany McIntyre. She's with Helping Services for Youth and Families. She was with us a few weeks back. She's back again, A, because she's a nice person, B, because she provides great information about the services that Helping Services for Youth and Families provide. And the month of February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And Brittany, How big of an issue is this, and what are the resources that you provide to help teens that are going through issues such as this?
Yeah, so it's actually a lot bigger issue than people realize. Some of the statistics we throw out when we do school presentations is 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 7 boys will be the victim of some form of dating violence before they graduate high school. And that's important to note that it's not just physical. They're dealing with emotional abuse, digital abuse, isolating from friends and family, things like that. But it goes on really regularly. And so we go into the schools and we talk with these students, primarily middle school and high school students, about what healthy relationships should look like, how to set those boundaries when you're in relationships so that you feel like you're getting the respect you deserve, and then what you can do, who you can reach out to if you feel like you are in one of those relationships, and then obviously encouraging them to utilize an advocate if they feel like they could benefit from that support.
Does it surprise people when you release the statistic that both males and females are victims of this?
Yes, it's always something that comes up in our presentations and in conversations with people is, and with dating violence and domestic violence in general, it's usually in media and movies, things like that, where the male is portrayed as the abuser and the female is the victim. But it's happening to everyone, regardless of their gender. And it's happening more than people realize.
And how big of a effort do you guys put on just getting the information out there on what teen dating violence is and how to cope with it, and just to get that information out there that there's a lot of people that are dealing with it, this type of situations, and there's help if you need it?
Yeah. So obviously our best bet when we're trying to do these outreach and networking is with schools. So earlier this school year, we reached out to every school counselor and school social worker in our service area. And me and 2 other dating violence advocates cover 7 counties. But we reached out to each school district, provided them with our information, explained kind of what our services are and what types of presentations and information we could provide. And we've had really great follow-up from the schools. We've done a lot of presentations this year, and we've heard a lot of good feedback because of the outreach.
And when you look at relationships itself, the people that are in abusive relationships, oftentimes it's about power and control more than anything else. So would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah, with dating violence, it's the exact same thing. I always just say that dating violence it's domestic violence just with the teens in a dating relationship. So they may be exerting that power or control differently when there's not kids and finances, things like that involved. But that power and that control over the partner is their main goal.
For someone needing help related to this issue, what are the resources that you guys provide? Who can they contact? When is help available? Yeah,
so as advocates, we provide anything that's directly or indirectly related to that dating violence or that domestic violence. We can help work with that survivor on things like crisis counseling. Maybe if they're going to court, we can go assist them with court advocacy, medical advocacy if they need any medical attention. If they need to make a law enforcement report, we can support them through that. And we're available 24/7. We've got our 800 number, which is a 24/7 line, and that's 1-800-383-2988. And then we've also added a chat option, which is www.helpingservices.org/chat.
And this information and the resources that you provide free and confidential, correct?
Correct. Everything is free, confidential, and it's very victim or survivor based. So we're client led, and they're going to kind of lead the way and make the decisions for how the client relationship is going to go.
Anything we're missing? Any other information you'd like to pass on this specific issue, or anything else related to helping services for youth and families?
I just want to thank you for letting us come on. Like we mentioned, dating violence isn't something that's talked about. It's not something that's recognized. And we're trying to do our best to change that and let people know that it's happening to these young people in our communities. So I'm just thankful that you were able to let us get in and kind of create some awareness around that.
And we're definitely happy to do that. Always willing to have a great guest like Brittany on to give the information that she needs to give regarding this all important issue. Brittany, we thank you for the time. And again, thank you and everybody at Helping Services for Youth and Families for the services that you provide our community.
Thank you.
Brittany McIntyre, Helping Services for Youth and Family, joining us this morning. On what's going on in the state legislature with State Representative Mike Bergan. And Mike, a bill that passed last week that got quite a bit of attention was the bill that expanded opportunities for E15 and ethanol in the state of Iowa. It passed with an overwhelming majority in the House. It's something Governor Reynolds wanted to see passed last year, but it got stalled. The House passed it overwhelmingly. Where did you stand on that issue? And in your mind, what will this bill do?
Well, Darren, I was very happy to support a strong bipartisan bill to support agriculture and value-added ag in Iowa. As we look at the production of a renewable fuel that burns cleaner than petroleum products, I think it's a real win. We've moved the focus from an E10 product to an E15 product to put more of our Iowa product in the gas tanks here in Iowa.
Is this something that has a pretty good chance of passing the Senate from what you've heard? Where does it stand on that end of things?
Well, I haven't heard specifics. I do know individuals in the Senate in both parties, I think, can support this bill. I think that one of the drawbacks that slowed its progress last year was our small independent retailers in making sure that we had allowances that would allow them to operate without the change into E15 putting undue economic pressures on them. And so we've put a waiver in place that will allow them to continue to operate as is for our small retailers.
When you look at this issue specifically, some will see it as a more of a mandate and the governor pushing or the government pushing a product rather than letting the marketplace sort itself out. What would you say to that criticism?
Well, we've been able to see in the retail market. So one prominent retailer has over 53% of their product being E15, proving that the consumer will have it. Or another one, it's less than 10%, but they do not offer it at their pumps. So if it's not offered, it's hard for the consumer to purchase it. And that's the basis of the bill. It's just to offer the opportunity, put E15 on the menu for selection. And this bill is accomplishing that. And so I look forward to its continued progress in the Senate and to the governor.
The issue of school choice and giving parents a little bit more options when it comes to their children's education. I know discussions started in earnest last week at the State House. In your chamber, where is that bill at?
We do not have a bill in the House at this time. Either a Senate bill will be passed and will come to the House, or we may end up having a House bill come forward. But we do not have anything pending at this time.
And related to tax legislation, that was another thing the governor really wanted to pass, and many in your caucus and really on the Senate side want to pass this legislative session. Have discussions begin in earnest on any legislation related to tax legislation?
It has gotten a start. There are bills entered in both the House and the Senate. Both bills vary from what the governor's original proposal was, but they look at a 4 or 5 year implementation, ultimately getting to a flat rate of 4%. In that change, we will see a number of lower income Iowans paying zero tax. We're going to see that change. If they were at a lower tax rate than 4%, they're going to go down to a zero tax. So everyone, all Iowans are expected to have a reduced tax bill with this proposal. We are looking at it over, 5-year projections, knowing that we can have some fluctuations, and we want to make sure that when we get out to year 5, that it's still a workable and feasible solution. So the House proposal is to target 4% over 4-year implementation. The Senate bill is 5-year implementation to a 3.6% tax rate.
And you talk about implementations related to these tax changes down the road over 4 or 5 years. What's to prevent a future legislature from pumping the brakes on any bill that gets passed this year?
Well, I think that that's certainly an option. And if it's necessary, the legislature should be pumping the brakes. We have the unexpected influx of state revenue dollars this past year that's gone into a taxpayer relief fund. We actually expect to utilize some of that funds to make up for a little shortfall in the years 2 and 3 of the implementation. And then it should balance out by year 4.
The governor is ending all COVID emergency, her emergency resolution next week. She made that announcement last week. Are you okay with that? Is this something that the governor should keep in her back pocket, or is it time to lift any emergency resolution?
Well, the governor's made that decision at the late last week, and she's, I think, in position with the information to make that judgment call. I think I have not, had conversations with my colleagues on it. I know that may have some implications on how we move things forward here. Specifically, there's been some allowances during this pandemic, and it's by the order, and so those allowances will end. And I think it behooves us to pick and review those to see if some of those allowances should be a long-term policy change for the state, or if we're at a point where we're approaching normality. And so I think we're in session. We'll take a look at that.
And related to the whole COVID emergency restrictions and resolutions, and this is probably a conversation that needs to happen all over the country related to this issue. Is there any of those things that you believe that the legislature should have a little bit more of a voice in setting those for potential future emergency situations, or with a part-time legislature like Iowa, like most states have, does that make it a little bit more difficult?
I think that's something that we'll review as a legislature. I don't know that we haven't been in a position that we've had the conversation a year ago when we were in session. We purposely put off that discussion. We wanted to get through this pandemic, through this process, and look at it in hindsight, rather than making too abrupt a change in the midst of the pandemic. So I think that discussion will begin with this declaration as we go forward, and whether it's a topic yet for this session or something that we lay the groundwork in the future session. We're going to look at that aspect, and I think it's we want to get a broad perspective on it. We want to benefit from a solid look back with I think more objectivity.
And a final question for you. Of course, the issues we've touched on are the issues that make the headlines and get a lot of reaction of people, but you obviously are dealing with a lot of things down in Des Moines in this first month of the session. What's maybe an issue that isn't maybe getting a lot of media attention, isn't moving the dial a lot, that you deem pretty important and towards the top of your list?
Well, I spent a lot of my time working on issues that are around health and human services, and a number of those issues are just we just don't get a solution. We work on challenges over a period of time, and so a couple examples. would be work in childcare. The House passed 9 bills last year. The Senate adopted 4 of those that we got through. So this year we have probably 9 or 10 bills as well. And we'll work to get agreement on some of those as we work to address childcare as it impacts our workforce, as it affects children and their early learning opportunities and school readiness. Another area is around the area of mental health. And we've gotten a very broad awareness statewide on the importance of mental health, the impact it can have, and the focus that we need to be responsible in. And one of the components that's lumped in with that mental health is addiction and addiction treatment. And they're not exclusive, but there's some mutuality in the issues. And I think that we need to spend a little more effort on addiction and addiction treatment as it impacts certainly young families with children where addiction is a problem. We see that with the child protection services of removing a child from the home. 8 out of 10 times it has to deal with issues around addiction for those few families. And so we need to be inclusive as we approach that. The work that the Department of Public Health and Department of Human Resources are working on aligning their departments. They're chaired or have the same director for both departments at this time, and they're looking at that alignment. And that mental health and that addiction treatment is one of the components that I'm looking forward to making progress on.
Mike, we appreciate the update on what's going on in Des Moines. Thanks for your time as always.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Mike Bergan, State Representative, with the legislative update for this week. Getting an update on the Sunflower Discovery Center project with Watershed County Development and Tourism Director Stephanie Fromm. Obviously, you've received a ton of exciting news regarding this project, Stephanie, and tell us where we at, what's the latest regarding any news regarding this project?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the invite to come kind of just briefly talk about Sunflower and the progress that we're making. But, it's just been a whirlwind the last year. What's significant about this project is that, we're doing things a little bit different than the traditional build a childcare center for your community. And we're kind of roping in what tourism also kind of plays a large role in our local economy as well. So just kind of getting the word out. We're talking to a lot of state representatives through, between the Grow Iowa Task Force that I'm now part of and just the Iowa Energy Office and the Economic Development Office. They're all really excited about the future of Sunflower. We are just under $7 million raised to date for the center, and we spoke this morning to the Decorah area chamber membership. Was all invited to listen to an open community forum at Impact this morning. So we got to kind of just have a great sort of question answer, talk about the project itself and the economic impact it will have on, frankly, Northeast Iowa. So that was fun.
I know you recently met with, just a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, with the Watershed County Board of Supervisors. Are you still looking at other grant funding options as potentially a way to finance this thing?
Well, to date, we've exhausted a lot of our larger grants. There are some smaller ones that will continue to kind of pop up that we have on our radar that we are planning on submitting, but they are not nearly as large as some of the gifts that we've been given in the last 6 to 8 months. So we are kind of coming back to the fundraising committee and trying to get a plan put in place to raise the just additional funding that will help kind of close our gap. So we don't want to leave Sunflower. Sunflower is a nonprofit. They're a 501c3. So we definitely don't want to set them up to have any sort of large mortgage that would impede on their growth in the future. So our goal is to, in the next, before the center would open, is to raise another $2 million is the goal. And as of right now, we're kind of brainstorming on how we kind of put a strategic plan put in place to sort of close that gap.
So as part of the strategy right now, making sure you can build the center and keep it going and make it a sustainable thing for years to come, not just build the infrastructure.
That's the plan. Yeah. So we've included, some pretty innovative geothermal technology that's actually only being utilized in the state of Minnesota right now. And so we'll actually have the first type of geothermal this is in the state of Iowa. So that the energy office is very interested in supporting that in some way. And we will have solar on the roof. So it will help with any of the sort of overhead natural utility costs that we would traditionally have in a center, and hopefully set them up to be successful long term.
Is there a goal date that you would like to see shovels in the ground for this project, or are you just kind of playing it by ear right now?
So the plan is to push really hard here over the next few months. We'll finalize construction documents in April and let for bid immediately after that. So hopefully letting for bid April and May-ish, and shovels in the ground shortly after that, as soon as we can. And we're very excited. We were just talking the other day about, what that moment's going to look like, and just the photo opportunity. I think it would be really cool if we could just get all of the donors to show up and bring a shovel and have that be that sort of ceremonial image, because it's just truly just it's a legacy project, and I've said that before, I think, on this show, and how important it is for, to be a part of something that's going to be around for a really long time. And this is sort of that grassroots community effort to solve a problem that's so much greater that everybody's experiencing across the nation right now. And we're doing it with a sustainable sort of mindset in both business and environmental.
And folks, if they want to contribute financially to this project, how do they do so?
You can pick up a pledge card at the chamber. There's pledge packets right up front. There is also the ability to just fill out a pledge form online at Decorah discovery.org. And you can talk to any one of your tax or investment advisors. They all have the information as well, if anyone would like to directly pledge or donate from an IRA or retirement.
Anything else you want to pass on regarding this project right now? Anything the public needs to know?
If anyone has questions, you can happily call me too. Just look up my name online and you can find my phone number, or swing by the chamber. My office is right in the back here, 501 West Water Street. Happy to talk to anyone, meet with anyone, and go over the packet of information. It's just it's truly it's a moving project, and it's really it's something that I feel like I've been called to do. So that's sort of the motivation behind any individual that's been a part of this. It's been an incredible journey.
I know this project has taken up a lot of your time, and deservingly so, over the last really probably year or longer. Anything else regarding or 3? That's why I said longer. I gave myself a little bit of leeway there. But anything else related to development and tourism efforts in Wenatchee County that you want to bring up right now?
Oh yeah, we're always doing new things. Something that I would love to mention is that, our bingo machines are going over very well. We have 3 sites right now. One is in Kelmer at Pivo, one is up at Toppling, and one is at Randy's Bluffton Store and Campground in Bluffton. And those are essentially those vending machines that you have the ability to purchase different publications and maps. Trout Run Trail maps are in there, fishing guides, paddler's guide are all in there. But we actually just finished up about 2 weeks ago, and they've been sent to the printers now to get printed. But Wenatchee County Snowmobile Trail Map is one of our new publications, and a winter recreation guide is also a publication for the entire county. So we hope to stock those new maps in a couple of the Vengo machines to see how they go. And I'm just really excited about promoting sort of winter activities. I know we're kind of like coming around that sort of corner of looking at spring potentially in the near future, hopefully. But it's nothing like, getting ready for the next year for sure. And snowmobiling is always something that a lot of volunteers put a lot of effort into grooming and maintaining and creating those trails around the entire county. And they do sort of that same grassroots effort in developing that content and those maps. So we worked with a lot of clubs and graphic designers and GIS specialists to really put together some really cool things. So we're excited to release that here in the next week or so. Whenever the printer gets done, we'll do a nice release on that.
All right, Steph, we appreciate you taking some time updating us on a lot of things going on with WCDT right now. Again, congratulations on all your efforts related to the Sunflower Discovery Center project. Hopefully we can see shovels in the ground here in the not too distant future. And as always, we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Stephanie Fromm from Watershed County Development and Tourism. All right, thanks to our guest on the program, Joseph Courtney, a Decorah High School graduate of 2020. He will be performing with the Wisconsin Singers this Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. at Decorah High School. We also want to thank Brittany McIntyre from Helping Services for Youth and Family, talking about Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. And we thank her for providing that great information as usual. I want to thank State Representative Mike Bergan for a State House update, and Stephanie Fromm from Watershed County Development and Tourism for an update on the exciting Sunflower Child Care Discovery Center project, which is hopefully going to be coming to fruition here in the not too distant future. Don't forget, each and every week we put this show on YouTube so you can actually see the interesting people we have the opportunity and the privilege of talking to each and every week. We put it out on all of our LA Communications Facebook pages, Hawk Rock, KVIK, KNEI, and of course 94.9 and 99.1 The River, the radio station you're listening to at the present time. So look for that. And if you're on YouTube, if you're just out there searching goofy cat videos, anything like that, just search 2/10 Our Town program. You'll get right to this program. So we realize you can't always be by the radio at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, but you might want to get the information that we provide and the content that we provide, and that's our way of providing it to you on a week in and week out basis. Also, a reminder, next week there will be no show. In fact, you can hear my voice at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, but it will be from the state wrestling tournament at Wells Fargo Arena in Des Moines. Dave Anderson and myself will be covering the 2A first round session at that point next Thursday morning. So no Our Town program this week or next week, but we will be back with a vengeance on the 24th of this month. We hope to be talking to new Decorah School Superintendent Tim Cronin. He was just hired officially yesterday. I know we'll have a conversation with Decorah City Manager Travis Gedkin and walk-on City Manager Gary Bowden as well. That will be in 2 weeks. So hopefully we won't miss each other too much. But again, no show next week. And we'll be back with our Town program the week after that. Our thanks to our guest, our thanks to our sponsors, Decorah Bank and Trust, and most importantly, we thank you for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.